bitterness and resentment is more or less synonymous. Most of the time in our lives, we get to a point where we find ourselves bitter. Even the most calm, peaceful person get to a point where they express bitterness in their lives. But that's not the case we ought to live by. We can live a life free of bitterness. Bitterness actually is one of the struggles that causes people go through mental illness. It's a struggle that others struggle to live by. They are having to struggle with it as a burden in their lives. Have you sometimes faced bitterness caused by external expressions of people who maybe you feel or think don't mean good to you? Actually, it drains us emotionally. And when you're drained emotionally, it means you fail to live in a better life. In fact, the Hebrew understanding of bitterness is equated to poison. And it reminds me of an expression when someone takes a pinch of poison and puts in a very huge tank and asks someone to probably take a drink. No one is willing or wills to take such a kind of drink, knowing that even a pinch of poison is in a huge tank. It tells me, therefore, the Hebrew mind, when they talk about bitterness, they know its challenges and its consequence. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 29 brings this expression that says, let no man or woman turn away from God. Why? Because of perhaps the issue of allowing bitterness rooted within their camps. Bitterness may cause poison that may ruin us emotionally, that you can fail to function as a human being. And therefore today I'm here to remind us that bitterness also has its symptoms. Why? Because one who is bitter may have sleepless nights, may have low self-esteem, may have traumatic expression or events, may also have to a point where it causes low libido. It is negative personality. There are people who are naturally gifted in having bitterness in their hearts. Therefore, the challenge now we face, harboring bitterness may cause one to get suicidal, may make someone to have enmity with people who may mean well for you. Therefore, the one who holds bitterness is like one who takes some pill to probably be suicidal in order to die for the other one to feel the challenge. How do you even actually express that you're taking a pill or probably take a gun and shooting yourself for the sake of the person who wrongs you? Harboring bitterness reminds me of the book of Genesis chapter 4, where two brothers, Cain and Abel, one's offering will be accepted, the other will be rejected, and one will be so bitter to the extent of killing his brother. That is a consequence of bitterness. Therefore, bitterness may lead to death. Bitterness may lead to suicide. Bitterness brings disunity. And I'm not constrained to speak about bitterness even amongst political leaders and giants who have harbored seasons of hatred simply because they have historical bitterness. Therefore, this is translated even to the followers who also begin to adopt or acquire or inherit bitterness for the sake of their political giants. This causes disunity. In fact, even in Christian spheres, there are people who no longer sit together because they're simply bitter. Therefore, the Bible, the book of Hebrews, reminds us that we ought to ensure that bitterness is rooted out. The book of Hebrews chapter 12, you find it comes to attention also in the book of Ephesians chapter 4 verse 31, where it expresses the feeling that get rid of bitterness. Therefore, as you remove bitterness, you go deep to root it out. How do you overcome bitterness? I'm tempted to suggest only 2 points. One way is by setting our hearts on things above, but not things within. Therefore, when we are set or led to bitterness, we can choose to set our hearts on things above and not allow the things around us to make us hurt. The other way we can also overcome bitterness is simply by forgiving. The Bible makes it clear that you forgive as God forgives us. Therefore, how can I adequately overcome? Is by simply not allowing the things around me to cause me stagnate, yet the one who's above me is able to give me peace. Therefore, when you forgive, you let go, which means you stop to bear the burden. Therefore, who is the champion in this story? It's the one who chooses to let go of external things to distract them. May this expression of love, of joy, of letting go help us live a life that is free.